Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Mimi, and I'm going to be talking about Elasticsearch. I work at a company called Elastic, and we have a wonderful software called Elasticsearch. Give me 1 second. And I am at the Mountain View headquarters in California, and our lights are actually motion detected. And so I had to move around a little bit to get the lights on. So hi, welcome. And you may have noticed that there is a bit of a typo in the title of my talk. Pretty much everywhere on DataYap, it says analyzing life data with Elasticsearch, but it's actually live data with Elasticsearch. The tool name is Elasticsearch. Hi. Okay, so I can't tell whether there's anyone already here other than the organizers, but is it okay to just keep going? Can I? Yeah. Okay. All right. Great. Perfect. All right. So I am going to be moving on. So what I do is I am on the what we call Elastic Education. We have a team in education called the certification team. And so I'm a member of the certification team. And so we are a company that creates and maintain software that can be used for search. And I'm going to show you what that means because we're not Google, right? We do search for applications or we make it possible for you to add a search component to your applications. Yeah, so, well, let me show you what that looks like. So here, if my slides click, do they go? Yeah, there we go. So here is an example of how you might see search being used in an application. So this is Uber, that's one of our customers, and they are using all kinds of different search in the background. So not only are they looking for specific search terms, they're also looking for geodata. And then there's also Yelp, which is also similar in that you get to search for terms and also locations, but you also get to turn on different filters here, including, it looks like, times that restaurants are open. There are many ways that search can be used. So those are just some examples. So there are different applications to search as well. So search, like a search bar, that's one way that you might see it. Like the New York Times, if you want to search through their archives, there's a search bar and they use Elasticsearch on the back end so that you can look for articles that are related to certain terms. But that's not the only way. You can see that we have JPL here as an example. NASA actually uses Elasticsearch not as a way to search for terms, but rather it's a tool that collects data. In this case, it's metric data coming from Mars. And they are collecting that data and analyzing it, because analyzing data, you actually need to go and search for the data. So that's another way that you can see search being used. Blizzard Entertainment also uses Elasticsearch for their logs. So it's one of the biggest video game companies in the world right now. And all those people who if you're not, okay, sorry. Are you unable to hear? So does this mean that someone cannot hear? Do I need to change my audio? Is everybody okay? Monica? Okay, all right, sorry. Well, this is going to keep happening, right? Because virtual, yay. So Blizzard Entertainment, they are a company that likes to collect their data to make sure that all of their users are able to log in and play their games. So they have games that are online. And what Blizzard did is before they used Elasticsearch, they just wanted to be able to find out where users might be having some sort of connection issues. But after they used Elasticsearch, they found that they were able to analyze their data so quickly that they're able to deal with problems before customers are complaining about connection errors, because they're able to identify entire uh, uh, bunches of IP addresses that are having the same problems, and then they can go and contact the internet provider and go and deal with that before customers start complaining. So that's something that's also great. And IBM Watson, that's one of my favorite examples. That's another great way that that another application of search. So it's not just about a search bar, right? Collecting data and analyzing it and searching through it. All of those things are possible if you have a tool that's able to do search on big data. And so Elastic is actually a company that has multiple tools. One of them is Elasticsearch, and it's actually in what we call the heart of the Elastic stack. We're also known as the ELK stack because we have several tools. One's called Elasticsearch. There's also a Logstash and a Kibana. That's the E, L, and K. That's the ELK stack. But we started adding more and more tools like beats here, and we realized that just adding more letters to our name it's not a scalable solution. And so we decided that we're going to switch our name to the Elastic stack. And so now, but we do actually have a nice little logo for the elk bee, because we did try that once, but we didn't end up keeping that. It's a bee with antlers because elk bee. Anyway. So what we do here is it actually all starts with Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch is the tool where you can store data and search for data. And we have this tool called Kibana, which we've developed as the user interface for Elasticsearch. While Elasticsearch is really easy to use with APIs, sometimes you don't want to write a lot of curl commands. You want to just maybe click things and get some pictures. And so we have Kibana to help you do that. But the data collection, that's also a really important part of data analysis. And so for that, we have these two different types of tools. One is a lightweight data shipper that's able to go and collect data from all over the place. And then and we also have a tool called Logstash. This is not, this is actually a full Java process, and it's a very powerful data processing tool. Anyway, let's see how this all works. Now, I'm actually a member of the certification team, which means that I am part of a team that develops curriculum and the certification exam. And that is because I am a former academic, and that sort of helps me fit right into this audience, I think. And one of the reasons they thought that I'm an interesting candidate, even though I don't come from the software world, is because I worked with open source projects. And Elasticsearch was, in fact, an open source project. And let me show you what I mean by that. See, if you go to the Elastic webpage, you can see here that we have try free. It is a free tool that you can use yourself. And see here, the first thing you get is try to start, your Elastic Cloud trial. That's if you just scroll down, you get to see here, you can actually download our software for free. And that's here. So you can download Elasticsearch like this right here. And I'm using a Mac, so I can just click on this and download the newest version of Elasticsearch. And here you get to see that there's different ways that you can install Elasticsearch. And all of these are all governed by what we call our basic license. And so So anything, there's a bunch of tools that we have available, and they're all available for you for free. And we also have that user interface, Kibana. That's also easy. You could just download it right here. And so while that's going on, I can actually go and show you that we have now this Elasticsearch. I think it's here somewhere. I just downloaded it. So Elasticsearch, here, this is one of them, right? There we go. There we go. That Darwin. So I could grab it here. And the Kibana one is also here. Kibana, here we go. I'm just gonna put it all here. And let me show you. It's just these tar files, right? And I could just untar them really easy. And you'll see that Elasticsearch is actually a smaller file. So it's already ready. And I'm gonna get my terminal up here. And here is my terminal, right? And hopefully you're able to see this screen being shared, right? And I could just go right here and let me increase my font size so that you can see what I'm doing. Right, so I'm right here, and there, that's the Elasticsearch. So I could just go right into Elasticsearch. There we go. On Elasticsearch, it's all right there. Look at that. I have a bunch of folders, and in fact, it even downloaded together with Java. So if you don't have Java already installed in your machine, that's fine. You already have Java for you right there for you, and you can just start Elasticsearch. Really simple. That's it. I didn't have to do anything special so far. And now I have a local instance of Elasticsearch running. Or it will be running. Look at that. It's already starting. And in a second, it's going to tell me started. And so then I'll have an Elasticsearch instance right there on my local instance. And all of this is free, right? So I can also do the same thing here. Ooh. And here, once Elasticsearch starts up, I can go and connect my Kibana. And in my head, this actually worked really, really fast. And so I'll be able to show a lot of stuff in my 40 minutes, but let's see what happens. So basic license is valid, and that should be there. Let me actually show you if it's working. So local host 9200. So by default, it opens up. Oh crap. How do I do that again? I have to, this is like a security thing, right? Okay, there we go. So is this doing it? Open, okay. Here, that's Kibana starting, and here, there we go. I just pinged my Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch opens up port 9200 by default, and this is me talking to my Elasticsearch cluster. So here it says, for search. So I know that my Elasticsearch node has now started. This is my cluster. The cluster name is Elasticsearch, and it created some random UUID for me for my cluster name. And is it not letting me start Kibana? Once it lets me connect to Kibana, then you'll see that I have all this going on. Look at that. And it's going to say server running at localhost 5601. What does that mean? Well, that means that I need to get my browser window, and I can say localhost 5601. And by default, Kibana opens port 5601. And there we go. That's my Kibana. And now I'm able to do whatever I feel like doing in here. And I can explore all the different things that I have in Kibana. So the first thing you want to do usually is to add some data. There's some sample data here, and you could just play around with this data. And that's how you begin. And all of this is really easy, but notice that everything said local host, and that's because we're thinking about security, right? We don't want you to go into production with this pretty powerful tool with all of your data and expose that to the world. So what we do is we have everything set up so that it's in this closed world, your test environment. And so once you start playing around with Elasticsearch for a while and you decide, oh, that was fun, this is what I want to do, then you're ready to go into production and you can go and set up a lot of stuff. And there's all kinds of different things you have to do to set up Elasticsearch to make it ready for production. There are certain security things you have to set up. You have to set up your network. You have to make sure your Java is working in the right way and you have all the right settings. So it could get a little cumbersome. And so rather than make it all complicated, what we did is we created this Elastic Cloud where everything is done for you. And this is our SaaS product. So what we have is a possibility for you to start using Elasticsearch with Kibana, but everything's already set up for you. All you have to do is create a deployment. And one of the things we've done recently is make it really easy for people who want to set up an Elastic deployment, an Elastic Stack deployment by saying that, or by separating it by use case. So the Elastic Stack can be used for all kinds of different solutions. And I already showed you all the different ways. In some cases, you want to use Elasticsearch for search, like Uber or Tinder. But sometimes what you want to do is have an observable system. That is, you have a big project and you want to make sure all the different components of your project are up and running, and that you are going to be alerted if any piece of it is starting to malfunction, and you want to be able to troubleshoot before it becomes a bigger problem. Or you might want to use the Elastic Stack for security analytics. And so that's another big part of our industry. And so these are the different solutions that you can use Elastic Stack for, but maybe you're not really sure yet where you fall under. Then you have this general purpose one. I'm going to show you this one just so that I can show you all the different settings that are possible to create in this in Elastic Cloud. And so this is going to be my Mimi Cloud example. And here I can actually go and set this up. Look, I have 3 different options for which kind of cloud service I want to use. Let's say I want to use GCP, and I'm on the West Coast, but you all are in Central. So maybe I'll use Iowa here. And I can even choose different versions depending on who, maybe I want to create a cluster that works with a different cluster and they're a different version. But let's say I want to use the most recent version here. And here I could go to customize and get really, really specific about exactly what kind of cluster I want. Well, this is just an example. I'm not really going to need to go into production, so I don't really need a backup. So I'm going to make this a one zone. And look at this. There's all kinds of different ways that we can talk about the data and how you can really optimize your storage space. And there's a lot of conversations we could have about how these data tiers can be used. And also, there's something called a machine learning tool. This is actually one of our paid components. And I'm going to show you a little bit of that later on as well. And then there's Kibana. And look at this. I can have Kibana with high availability in case one of my Kibana instances go down. It's still available. And they have something like an Nginx or something that's in front so that I'm able to have some I will always have a nice Kibana instance available for me. There's also APM, and I'll show you what that is later as well, but I don't need it for this example, so I'm going to just turn that off. And look at this, I get to see how much all of this costs. Oh, you know what? I don't need such a big one because this is just an example. And look at that. the tiny example that I'm building, this is just like 3 cents per hour, but for me, it's free because I'm an Elastic employee. So I'm gonna just go ahead and create this deployment, and it's gonna take like a minute or two. And while that's going on, oh, notice that the first thing that happens is it gives me these credentials. It creates a super user named Elastic, and that super user is going to be uh, able to control everything. But the great thing about Elastic Cloud is even if I don't actually save my password the way I did just now, it's okay because I can connect via SSO from this login screen that I created here, right? So, and I'm gonna have this Kibana link show up any second now, and then I'll be able to go and just go. I don't need to log in to my Kibana instance with using that user, the super user that it created for me. In a few minutes. I was hoping this would be a little bit faster because I made it such a small instance, but we'll see what happens. Here we go. Look at that. So you can see that there's all kinds of stuff happening here. There's some nodes that are being set up right now. And then we have, this is my Kibana instance. Let's see. It's still waiting for Kibana to start up. And as soon as my Kibana starts up, there we go. I can go and click on it. And voila, I'm already in my new Elastic Cloud instance. So now that I'm starting with, oh, shoot. Let me do that again. There, that's my SSO login, so I don't have to log in using any sort of username or anything like that. And there we go. Now I can start to play with my Elasticsearch using my Kibana user interface. Now, the first thing I'm going to want to do is to add data. And so let's take a look at what kind of data I can ingest here. Well, there's all kinds of different ways, the different tools that we have. Again, one of the best things I think you should do, or the first things you should do, is to actually use the sample data. And I'm actually going to go and add all of those. But that's not the only way you can add data. You can add data in a really, really easy way. And it's kind of weird where I have to go to do it. I'm going to show you where you can go. So here, is there one in the main screen? Let's see if I can do it from here. See, this is the main screen. I just clicked on that Elastic logo here on the top. And if I scroll down just a little bit, it says upload a file. That's something that's very familiar to me. Well, I actually have a file that's ready to go right now. And like I mentioned, I build courses for Elastic. And the course I'm building right now, we actually have a collection of all the blogs from our Elastic blogs webpage. And I've collected them here in a CSV. And look at that. I just drag and dropped it here. And that's all I had to do. And it's already done some nice analysis on the kind of data that I've just gone and thrown in. And it looks like it looked at the first, 951 lines of my CSV file. And it's done some analysis to find out that that's 16 documents. What is this number? Yeah, there's 8 fields, right? That's columns, right? In terms of CSVs. And these are the 8 fields, and it looks like there's different kinds of values. There's 16 unique values here. And looks like there's in this one, this is a field with numeric values, and the minimum of that is 69, and the maximum is 2,871. So it's giving me some information about my data so that I have a better understanding of what I just imported, just to make sure, or what I'm trying to import, just so I have a better idea of what I want to do. Maybe this one, I'm going to call this my Elastic blogs. Okay, and I'm actually going to go to advanced just because I want to show you how much more control you have over all of this data that I'm about to import. So here I get to not only create my index, and that's where all of my things are going to be stored. Every line in my CSV is going to now be what's called a document. And each of those documents, they're going to live in something called an index that I named Elastic Blogs. And the thing that happens is in Elasticsearch, we make search really, really fast. And the way we make it fast is because during the ingest time, which is what we're about to do, as the data goes in, we prepare it in a nice way so that search is as fast as possible. So we anticipate the way that we might want to look for the data, and we store it in a way that would optimize the search side of things. And so here, this is really where you can control all of that. So you can say, this is called a mapping. And the mapping is something almost like a schema. And what you can do is go and set this up to be something you want, something custom. But notice that it already guessed it for you. So if I hadn't pressed advanced here, it would have just gone and created that mapping for me. And it has some understanding of what kind of data you have, or it has some ideas about what type of data most Elastic Stack users work with. And it's able to make guesses for what you're probably going to be doing with it. And so here I've got the mapping all right. There's also something called an ingest pipeline. So if I wanted to, for example, make some modifications to the data before it goes into Elasticsearch, I totally can do that right here. In fact, I happen to have played with this data set a little bit yesterday, and I know that there's now 2 fields which are type date here. I don't know if you can see this. Let me increase the font size. So here, notice that the mapping actually created a field called @timestamp. In fact, if I show you the CSV file, you'll notice that there is no @timestamp field. This was something that that Kibana decided to create because @timestamp happens to be a field that a lot of our tools really like. Now, what it did is it went and found any field in my data set that was of type date. It found one, the post date, and then it just created another field called @timestamp and copied the value over. Now, I happen to know that's what it did, and you could have seen the warning about that in an earlier section. There was, as I was clicking on import, it said this in the warning. But that's what it did. And maybe I don't like that, or maybe I do. And then so here I could go ahead. And so, for example, I could just say remove. I can say remove field @timestamp. I could do that if I wanted to, right? And then this field would not appear. So there's no @timestamp field now, and so then it's fine. Now another thing that I wanted to do before we do this, I wanted to use an example here with this. There's something really cool that I want to show you later, and to do that I need to set this. And so I'm going to do that. And it'll make sense later. And another thing I want to do here is I want to add something here called fields. And this is going to be called keyword. Oops, I'm not typing correctly today. Whatever. Keyword, and I'm going to change this one to text. All right, so I've made some changes. So this is some customization that I've done. You don't know what I did, and that's okay, because that's the stuff you should be learning about later on. It's not something that's absolutely necessary as you're getting started. In the beginning, all you do is just load up some data and start playing with it. And as you start playing with it, you start to realize that, I could probably change certain parts of this and make things better. And then you start to make those changes. And there are tools that we have so that you could slowly make those changes to your indices as you're working with this. And so here it looks like I've now ingested all this data. And you know what? It's also giving me suggestions on where I could go and play around with that data now. And what I want to do is go into a tool called Discover, because Discover is where you go to learn about the data that you have. So this is a really, really zoomed in view. And so you get, it looks a little kind of clunky, but normally it's a little less. Anyway, I'm going to zoom in so that you can see the text. And you get to see that, well, in fact, I get to see all the data that I have here. It already created a histogram of all the data that I have according to, look at that, that's that field that I had that had a date type. This is the post date. And so it looks like I only have a couple of blogs back here in 2010, 2011, 2012. And then all of a sudden I get more. Well, that's because we became a bigger company. We started incorporating around here somewhere. And then we grew. So I guess I started, where did I start? I started around here, right? And so we were really growing around here. Right, so now what am I going to do with Discover? Well, I could start searching. Like, for example, I could go to the body field. That was where the content of the actual blog is. Hold on. And I can start searching. Like, for example, let's look for the word search. And that's pretty easy. But it turns out that search is one of those big words. And so it's taking a little longer to look for it. Maybe I should have used a different word. There we go. And it found this many documents. How many documents? 1,359 documents. And if I go and check this, I get to see that, here's search, there's search, there's search. I'm seeing search all over the place. I actually could have written search anywhere, right? Like, for example, maybe I want to look for Logstash. And then it'll look for Logstash in any field, not just in the body field. And I'll be able to see this, and I can go and get a better idea of what kind of documents I'm looking at. Like, for example, maybe I want to see the category field and what kind of titles we're looking at. And look at that. So we are now looking at, these are the documents that it found. But I want to get more details about this document. I can go and open this up and, oh, there's that. This is the actual data itself, right? And so you get to see all this. This is March 10th. It was an article written by Hung, and this is the actual blog itself. And that's a really fun thing you can do. But that's just the beginning of getting to know your data. Once you get to have a better understanding of your data set, what you're going to do is you're going to go and create a dashboard and maybe start playing around with your data and see stuff. Like, for example, I want to look at my categories. How many categories do I have? Or how many documents or how many blogs do I have in each of these categories? And I just have to drag and drop these fields and it just starts creating them for me. And usually, and you know, during demos, things go wonky, of course. So it's taking a little longer than I expected right now for some reason, unfortunately. And I don't know why it's taking so long. Maybe I can refresh. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. And so this is now, I get to see that there are a bunch of documents, a lot of blogs in the engineering field, but maybe I want to get a little better understanding of who's writing this stuff. And look at that, there's a couple of authors who are really, really popular. And it looks like, you know, I could get a nice breakdown of that, but maybe I want more details. This looks like it's only looking at a couple of authors at a time. In fact, it's only the top 3 authors per category. Well, maybe I want to look at the top 10, right? Maybe I want the top 10. There we go, that's the top 10. And so I get to see a little bit more. And maybe I don't really care so much about the others, right? And I just want the top 10 and see kind of a comparison of who's writing more than other people, right? And then if I scroll down, not there, over here, you get to see, it also has different suggestions on the ways that I could express this data that I've now shown. And so I can go like this and, ooh, this is kind of pretty. And now I really like this. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard. There we go. And I could keep doing this sort of thing, right? And I can, for example, have my post date here. And there's that histogram that I like from before. And now I can work this together. In fact, I could even create something like a filter like this. And so here, now I've created a filter. There's that filter. These are all the documents written by Shai Bannon. In fact, he's our CEO and founder. And these are all the different categories he's written in. And these are all the times that he's written. Obviously, before he hired people, he was the one doing most of the writing, right? And so this is what I can do, and it's a lot of fun. And once I have these dashboards, I can start to save this. This is my awesome dashboard, my awesome dashboard. And I'm going to share this with my friends, right? And so I can go and get like a permalink here. And here I'm going to get this copy link. And you know what? I'm going to share it with all of you. I have a bit.ly. I'm going to get a bit.ly. There we go. There's my little bit.ly. So let me just to share with all of you. Where's my, can you see this? Is it big enough? 32KZLLO. Oh, you know what? I can put it in the chat. Here you go. There, that's something you can use. Let me see if I could put it over here too. There, now you should be able to log in, right? No, but I don't know. Maybe they're recording it, I think. Then you should be able to see it later. And now you're going to notice that, oh my God, you can't log in because you don't have a user and password. Well, I'm going to go and create that for you. So let's take a look at this stack management, and I can go and create a nice user just for you. Hold on. Is it not here? Why isn't it here? What did I do wrong? Hold on. Oh, you know what? Do I need to license management? Oh, I have to start oh no, this is the wrong one. This one, here we go. This is the one. Here, stack management. And now I'm gonna go to users. I'm gonna create a new user for you. And you are my, this is the data yap people. And you have a really awesome email address. And I'm going to give you a really hard password. This is my password. This is my password. So that's my password. And I'm going to make you a super user. And I'm going to create this user. Okay. And so now you guys have a way to get in, and it's called data yap my password. Yeah. So data yap. Did I spell that? My password. There we go. And in fact, if you take advantage of this users and roles, you can also create all kinds of multi-tenancy things, like create certain users who have only access to certain aspects of Kibana or certain aspects of your data set, right? Certain indices, or maybe even just subsets of your indices that they have access to. And you can control all of that right here using this really cool UI. And so now you can go ahead and play with this instance all you want. And again, I want to show you, and I strongly suggest that one of the things you do is to go and check out some of those sample data sets. One of the things that I love to take a look at is something called Canvas. Canvas is very different from dashboards because dashboards are great for analysis, but really what we're doing here is is not only data for yourself, you also want to share that data. And so you can create infographics. This is my favorite example of a Canvas workpad. And the reason is because you'll see that a Canvas workpad is very different from a dashboard. It's not really intended to be used that way. What we have here is this could be potentially live data where data is streaming in. So this is your e-commerce web page and you have people buying from your web page. And so this data could be changing constantly as we're looking at this workpad. And here I'm going to click and show you that, in fact, this is the exact same data being expressed here, just in a very different way. And that's how much control you can have over the look of your infographics here. And also, this is another example where you can see that the work paths are really different from dashboards because we have pages, right? These are different pages that you can go through. And so you could almost use it like a PowerPoint presentation or keynote, except with live data. So that's a really cool thing, I think. And so Canvas is a really great tool that a lot of people are enjoying right now. Anyway, take a look at all those different things that we have. I'm going to kill this instance probably in like another hour or so. Hopefully you don't go and like hack any defense departments or anything using it. But there's nothing much going on with this cluster anyway, but you can go ahead and take a look. And we also have some really cool stuff so that you can go and monitor your stack to make sure everything is working. I didn't start it yet, but I would have been able to do it in my deployment. When I deployed this, I could have just said, oh, I want to also be able to monitor my cluster. And then if I did that, I would have been collecting data to make sure that everything is working. In fact, I can show that to you now with a cluster that already has it going. Is it here? No, I don't have one, do I? Let's see if I have one working here. Stack monitoring, does it have? Oh, this one didn't do it either. Sorry, I don't have a good example here. But you can also, if this isn't enough for you, you can also look at demo.elastic.co, where you get to play with an entirely set up environment with a lot of sample data sets and even some documentation to walk you through all of this. And I'm running out of time. I was hoping to show you another example of how you can look at observability data, where you can get data streaming in to make sure that all of the different components of your applications are working. You can even set up something called APM, which is going to keep track of even your scripts. So it knows which line of your scripts are taking how long. And then you can use machine learning and our alerting tools so that you can get an email or a Slack message to find out when things aren't working exactly as you like. Now, finally, the last thing I want to show you is actually, if I can find my slides, I want to show you, there's a nice QR code that I can share with you. Where would it be? Is it this one? No, where's the Q? Did I close it? I want to show you, download, is it this one? There we go. I have a QR code for this audience. This is, you can take a snapshot of this QR code for educators and students. You can have a 30-day cloud trial. By default, you get a 14-day cloud trial, but you could get a 30-day cloud trial if you use this QR code. So that's it. I'm over time. Am I? Or do I have a few more minutes? Is it till 12:15 or till 12? Yeah, I have 15 more minutes. If I have more minutes, then I will show that APM example because it's awesome. I want to show you this APM example. Now here, this is something our team developed. It's a really cool thing. I could just go into my Slack and say start demo. And what it's going to do is it's now starting up this environment. And this is the picture of that environment you get to see. It has a really cool a web page. Look at that. There's some, it's an e-commerce web page. This is the front end, and you can purchase items. And on the web page, it has an ad service. There's a cart. There's a currency conversion tool, a recommendation service, and there's also all kinds of different apps. These are all separate apps that are all running in the background so that this one web page works. And everything from like the shipping service, payment service, all of these things are separate services that are running but they all have to run well for all your customers to be able to make this purchase. And it turns out that I have some sort of issue happening right now with this hold on, with my service. And I wish I could show you, where's the page? I think there should be a page. I don't know where the thing went, but I would love to be able to show you the actual web page, but I don't remember where to find that. Anyway, so this, you can see, this is my APM service that is also already set up so that it knows that, for example, this is my front end. It's a JavaScript, and it's running. And then so now there's something using JS Node. And that's connecting to all these different services. And right now you can see that there's something that's red. All these services that are red, these are some sort of issue that I'm having. And this Slack message is telling me that I have a high mean transaction duration for the advert service. I don't know what that means, but I do find the advert service somewhere. There's the advert service. Anyway, but these are all red. And these are problems that that are happening right now. And I can go and check out what's going on. This is going to my machine learning tool. And you can see that machine learning somehow picked up some problem with one of my services. And it took me to this and said, hey, there's something happening here. Maybe you want to check it out. And I would be able to go and look into what's going on. There's a high duration transaction type for APM service. Okay, well, that's stuff I want to look into, and I want to go and investigate what's happening, right? Well, maybe I could go to my APM tool. Here, observability. Look, I have logs, metrics, APM, uptime. Uptime is showing me all the different services and showing me that, oh, okay, well, there's actually a service that's down. Maybe that's the main problem and something I'm probably going to want to look into to make sure everything's good. That's the easiest one to understand. But there's also things like metrics, where here I'm seeing that these are all the different servers that are running, and I get to see all these different metrics, the CPU usage, memory usage, all of that. That's all being tracked here. I get to see all of these values for all the different services that are running, right? And it's taking longer than it should because live demo, and that's what happens in live demos. No, it's okay. I'm going to give up on, oh, there we go. There's some, okay. It's because I don't have any system. I don't have any Docker or Kubernetes data, and that's why it's not showing me anything interesting here. But I could find out more stuff like CPU, maybe load. Oh, no. What is it? Load dot system, maybe system load, like that. Okay, it's not showing me anything interesting at the moment, but I could go, for example, to logs. Maybe there's some logs that I can look at. You know, these are all things that I can go and check. My APM service is going to then give me some information about all the different transactions that are happening right now. Here we go. Look, these are all the different services that are running. There's a problem with my advert service, right? So I can check a look at my advert service, and I get to see that these are all, you know, this is this is some issues that are happening, and if I there's errors all over. I don't know what's going on with this demo environment. I think maybe they haven't maintained it in a while. But yeah, this is what you can do, right? All of these things, there's data being collected from all over the place. Those are all the different places, right? These are all different services, and all of those services are outputting some sort of data. And it's not just the data of like, okay, so this customer wants to buy this item. It's also things like the CPU on this machine is working or working harder than it was 15 minutes ago. That's the kind of information that I can collect using things like metric beat or file beat or a heartbeat. These are all these tools that we have. They're called beats, right? Those data shippers, the lightweight data shippers that I mentioned before. And yeah, so I can collect all that data, and all of that data gets thrown into Elasticsearch. And what we've done is we've figured out a way for all those different data shippers to send the data in such a way that we're able to keep track of each service as a service itself. So I can tell that, for example, I collected some sort of data using metric beat from this Redis cache, right? But I also collected data using a different tool called to collect the logs. So I have metric data and I have logs data, but using two different tools to collect data about the same server. Well, I want to know that that's what I did. So if there's a problem with the server, I should be able to identify that. And I don't have to go and figure out, okay, well, there's something related to this metric that's going on, and I want to know how things are connected. And I don't have to go and figure it out because Elasticsearch already figured it out for me. So if I have some sort of metric here, for example, and I can go and say, well, I can go and check the logs for this server, right? And I'll be able to learn about the logs for this server because I know that they're connected together. And so I have all the values that know about each other. And this is what the observability solution is. Not everybody needs something like this, but for those of you who do, well, this is actually really convenient to have. And I think all those things are actually come for free. The only thing that doesn't come for free is the machine learning tool, and everything else I think is available for free. So yeah, that's Elastic and Elastic Stack. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to talk more. Was everybody able to get into the instance without any problems? I think that's all I have for now. If you have any questions, happy to answer. I'm here. Oh, also, this is not a virtual background. This is a real wall. I'm actually in the office, which is the most exciting thing ever because I haven't been in the office for a long time. Yeah, right. You thought it was virtual. No, it's a real wall. Thank you so much. I wish we were live, I mean, in person, because I have so many things that we usually give away during these things. We have stickers and things, right? I have a lot of swag I'm usually allowed to give away, but I can't do that today. All right. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for the invitation.